You may have spent a long time getting ready to retire, thinking about it, saving, and so forth, but have you ever thought about where you might retire? Well, we're going to look at some places that some people may not have thought about, but are actually highly rated for retirement. We're going today to Somerset, Kentucky. Place who ever heard of something like that? Well, let's go find out. Whenever these various websites and rating entities rate where to retire, they often use they always use their own criteria, and some of which may not be the same for everyone. So, for example, where we are right now in Somerset, Kentucky, consistently rated one of the best places in Kentucky to retire. A website such as areavibes.com, they give it a different score. So they give it a livability, a 68 score. So 100 is perfect. So they give it a 68. And then they rate different categories and then give them a letter score. So for example, amenities, A+, cost of living, B+, crime, C, housing and rentals, they give it an F. Okay, so those are their own kind of ratings. So what we did, because it's not the same for everybody, we came up with our own important aspects, important criteria for going to a place and saying, okay, could I retire here? Would I retire here? Those are a couple of different questions. So, for example, what we've done is, first of all, we looked at criteria that to us are not important. And the first one is weather. We don't care. I mean, unless you're in the middle of the desert somewhere, or you're in a place where it rains every single day of the year, I mean, that could be okay too. So we don't really care about weather. And the second thing is language. Now, of course, we're talking about international locations, but where we are in Kentucky, they speak a little bit differently than we do in Oregon. So, but that's not important. As long as we can communicate in some way, who cares? So that's not important. But some of the items that are important are affordable housing, convenient food stores and other, things that you need, shopping, health and wellness, okay, facilities, crime, annoyances. Well, that could be, whoever, what annoys you? Barking dogs? Okay, maybe everybody is bothered by that. And proximity to an airport. That's really important for us. Might not be important for everybody. And also, the very last one is a very subjective criteria, and it's our overall comfort with the place. Things that maybe you can't quantify, but how comfortable do we feel there? So, as far as Somerset, Kentucky, I looked at some of the things that the rating sites look at was, for example, the cost of living for retirees in Somerset is 15% below the national average. Okay, so that sounds okay. Somerset has a population of about 11,500, so it's a nice little, relatively small town. 19% of the population is 65 or older, so there must be something there that draws people here. Okay, let's look at the categories. So let's look at our first criteria, affordable housing in Somerset, Kentucky. Well, I looked on Zillow, and the most expensive place in Somerset that's currently listed is an 8,200 square foot home for $1.75 million. $1,750,000. That's the most expensive. But what I did find that there were lots of places in the $140 a foot range for a retired couple. You could, if you lived in a modest size home of 1,100 to 1,500 square feet, there were several listings that were under $200,000, and there were a lot of very nice homes that were in the $500,000 plus range. So, by American standards, that's fairly affordable. Stores. We looked around and we found, of course, there's a Kroger's, so your shopping needs are met there. There's an Aldi. There's a Walmart. Well, okay, if you got Walmart, you got everything. So we're pretty well covered from the essentials in terms of needs that you would have, anything that you would normally have. Medical and wellness. For medical, we have in Somerset the Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital. This hospital is a pretty big deal. It has 295 beds and covers a wide range of specialties. It's got pediatrics, it's got everything you can imagine right here, and apparently serves this entire area. There's also a quick care facility, and then there's a number of urgent care facilities in Somerset. From a wellness standpoint, there is Planet Fitness for exercising. There's another place called Get Fit Athletic Club. And then we noticed there were some other minor places around as well, the gyms that you could join. Well, I just had a wonderful conversation with a couple of ladies in there at Planet Fitness, and they told me that a lot of the retirees that come here to Somerset are from Ohio. And the big draw, the big reason that they come here is because of the lake. And they are boaters. And Lake Cumberland, I guess it is not that far away. So that's the big draw. I asked them what they thought the percentage of the population was here that is over 65, and they thought, they both agreed, about 30%. Actually, the figure I saw was 19, but even that's a big percentage. And she says a lot of people come here. They love to just hang out, and that's why they've come here. So I haven't actually talked to anybody who's retired here, but they say there's just a lot of folks here, and it's a great place. In the downtown area, it's very walkable. The Highway 27 area, which is where most of all the services are, is I wouldn't call that walkable, but in the town itself, very walkable. It's very nice. Crime. Well, that's always a little bit. It's not subjective, but you have to kind of put things in perspective. So there's a website called neighborhoodscout.com, and they give Somerset a crime index of 23. The lower the score, the worse it is. 100 is considered the safest. And so that's not really, you wouldn't think that's so good. But if you put that into perspective, your chance of being involved in a violent crime in Somerset is in any given year, is 1 out of 568, or 0.18% chance. Well, those are pretty good odds. Your chance of being the victim of a property crime is 1 out of 47, which is about a 2% chance of being involved in some kind of a property crime. Burglary, your car being stolen, that sort of thing. That's not great, but it's you don't need to live in fear of crime coming to Somerset. Our next item that's very important for us, but might not be to other people, is airport, proximity to a commercial airport of some kind. That, unfortunately, for Somerset is a no-go for us. The closest airport, commercial airport, is Lexington, Kentucky, which is called Bluegrass Airport. It's 66 miles away. Well, for some people, if you're only taking one trip a year and you can find a neighbor that'll take you there or some other way, well, that's great. But for us who travel frequently, 66 miles away to get to an airport, that won't work. The Knoxville Airport is 96 miles away, which makes it even worse. If you wanted to go to the Lexington Airport, though, I've never been there, but it appears to be a pretty good little airport. It's got the major carriers, United, American, and Allegiant fly out of there, and they go to the major hubs, DFW, Atlanta, Reagan National, and so forth. So if you're making other trips, but for us, that is a no-go. Another factor is annoyances. As we do more of these, we're not easily annoyed, so I may even drop this one altogether. But I did look at the City of Somerset nuisances website, or the category under the City of Somerset, and they're talking about in the last year, what were the most complaints from people about in terms of nuisances or annoyances, and the number one was barking dogs. Well, I have a feeling that That's going to be the same anywhere. Number 2 was abandoned and wrecked vehicles. I can understand that's a complaint. That's probably going to be the same everywhere. The third one was junk and debris. And then the fourth was compost piles. Well, if you're in a really big urban environment, you may not have a compost pile, but those were just some of the annoyances. Doesn't bother us so much. Overall comfort with a place. I think we feel pretty comfortable here, or we would feel pretty comfortable here. It's not a bad place. It's nice. It's green. We're here in the early fall. It's very comfortable. So could we live here? Yes, we could. We could retire here. Would we retire here? No, we wouldn't, simply because of the airport. That's just going to be just a no-go. So what would be interesting to us is other categories that you think might be important to you, and other categories that we haven't thought of that would be important for you in judging a place where you would or could retire. Please leave a comment and let us know that. Also, if you live in Somerset or you know somebody who lives in Somerset, I'd love to get your comments on why it's considered a great place to retire.